Throughout history, certain events have shaped our world in ways that go far beyond their immediate impact. November 22nd, 1963. September 11th, 2001. March 2020. Each moment marked not just by tragedy, but by the questions that followed. The Warren Commission, the 9/11 Commission, emergency powers that became permanent. From Dallas to New York to global lockdowns, patterns emerge for those willing to look. The same institutions, the same responses, the same consolidation of power. Recent events continue this trajectory. Butler, Pennsylvania, Manhattan's streets, each incident followed by familiar narratives, familiar solutions. Meanwhile, in boardrooms from Davos to Bilderberg, the world's most powerful gather behind closed doors. Central banks coordinate policy. Intelligence agencies share resources. Global forums set agendas that nations follow. The World Economic Forum speaks of stakeholder capitalism. The Bilderberg Group meets in secrecy. Ancient orders maintain their influence. Some call it conspiracy, others call it coordination. But the connections are there, documented and undeniable. The question isn't whether these networks exist, it's whether we're brave enough to acknowledge their influence on the world we inhabit. The dots are there. We just have to be willing to connect them.
All right. What's up, everybody? Just checking in. I'm sure it's kind of a last minute stream, so I want to get people dialed in and we'll say hello to everybody. Chanel 40908, what's up? What's up, Regina G? And it's kind of funny, my normal intro was supposed to play after that. And so just to be safe, what's up, Green Eclectic Mama? And I'm just going to throw up something here, just for good measure. Obviously, everything we say here is just our opinion. This is our standard disclaimer. The content on State of the Deep is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only, and we encourage everybody to do their own research. All right. Let's see, who else we got in here? My handler's here, Maureen. Welcome, Maureen252. Sean Marie, welcome. E-Potty, what's up? How's it going? Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the flock, quote-unquote, safety cameras, and then another really powerful system that you're going to start hearing more about, which is the TOKA, T-O-K-A. We're going to touch on that a little bit, talk about what they're supposed to be used for, some of the concerns about them, especially related to the Fourth Amendment. And then we're going to get into an open discussion about things. We'll talk about the implications of the TOKA system, which TOKA is essentially a system that in real time can hack a video feed and alter it in real time or after the fact. So we'll talk about that. And then, as always, Sunday night, we'll get into some open discussions. Copenhagen Angel, what's up? Welcome in. I'm going to post some comments up here. Yeah, the CERN, video is just a brief video, just giving the basics and some of the questions regarding CERN. And that was a video I did last week. And certain types of content would take hours to do a deep dive on. I like to try to, since I'm not a foremost expert on this stuff, give a little overview of the information, some of the questions that they raise, and then also discuss some of the implications of things. What could they end up leading to? Like I always like to do. What's up, Turkey Creek Gal? Good to see you. I mean, there's thanks, Green Eclectic Mama. Appreciate it. A lot of the stuff, like some of the videos I'm going to be doing in the near future, maybe a little bit down the road. We got some stuff coming up soon, like next week. We're going to talk about the like shit hit the fan preparedness, the second part of that video. We did one video about it. We're going to do a follow up. Then we're going to discuss the American Dream. That's another upcoming video. We're also going to discuss data centers in the future. And the flock camera stuff is very relevant right now. And it's something that actually, in my opinion, relates to a lot of these true crime cases. So that's why we decided to drop that one tonight, just to sort of get into it, have an open discussion about some of this stuff. Some of the really big picture stuff we're going to do down the road. And I'm working on some stuff right now that's going to take a little longer to have everything done, which is the basis and foundations of the global power structure. That's a big one that's going to come up in the future. I'm hoping to get Birdie on as a guest when I do that. And on the 28th of this month, I'm going to be doing a stream with the Custody Queens off the clock with Ron. They're going to be on this channel, and I think it may end up being a live stream, but it will be at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to get into the Idaho 4 case with them, and I'm going to basically get their takes on everything after all the information that we've all looked at, after all the different people that they have interviewed, and I'm going to sort of try to get their overview on it. And I'm going to be doing, yes, as per my handler, I'm going to be doing a live stream with Big Amish Media coming up soon. So some good stuff coming up on the channel. So of course, please like and subscribe to the channel and set your notifications. That way you'll see when these things are coming up. So I have a lot of things planned. I've been on vacation for the last week and a half, so I'm not home. I've been traveling around a lot. That's why it's been harder for me to be consistent with videos. But next week, I'm planning to do lives both Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, yeah, so we're trying to, thank you, Green Eclectic Mama. We're trying. It takes time. For me, it's the idea has always been about a slow build, develop, get better at streaming, get better at putting content together, finding good topics. Because some of the bigger topics they'll be more involved. So hopefully, I don't know when it's going to be yet. I'm going to try to lock something down with Birdie, and we're going to do a really big picture one, like I said, about the global power structure. But it's more involved. I'm having somebody's helping me to create some visuals and things like that for that, because that's a big topic. And we're going to go all the way back to the ancient foundations of the global power structure. Yeah, it's taking time. You have to be able to be extremely consistent, which is one of the challenges I've been facing because of my schedule and because of playing music on the side and things like that. I've been running around the East Coast since I've been back here, all over the place. So things have been a little chaotic. Yeah, we're going to try to get some people to help us with some of the research stuff, or potentially some research and some visual stuff that makes it easier to present information. And so this week's been nutty. I've been all over the state of New Jersey, up and down and all over the place. So plugging away. It's gonna take some time. When I get back, I'll have some free time. I'm gonna do some pre-recorded videos, and then we'll have more, hopefully more consistent lives on the weekends, but at least one every weekend, hopefully at least two every weekend. But yeah, so tonight I'll get into it a little bit, but we're going to talk about, you guys have all surely heard of the flock security cameras. It's very controversial now. Now, we've been hearing a lot about flock cameras. That's what all the hullabaloo is about. But we're also going to talk about a few other things that, in my opinion, are really important, because there are other security camera systems that are being used as well. And so some people believe that quote, the name flock is basically being used as a red herring. So everybody pushes back on flock security cameras, because that name has generated a lot of interest and concern among the public for a violation of privacy and the Fourth Amendment. So we're going to talk about some of the other big camera system, which is Axon, that also essentially does the same thing. Which, if let's say a municipality gets flock cameras, they get a lot of pushback. Then they go, oh, well, we've canceled our contract with flock cameras. Well, what's the difference if they then go to another security camera system, one that doesn't have as much controversy attached to its name? So, and then we're also going to talk about TOKA, which is a system that was created by an Israeli company. And one of the founding creators was the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. And this is a real-time video manipulation technology where they can literally hijack video streams in real time or alter video after the fact. So that's, we're going to touch on that a little bit too. But that's sort of a real hot topic right now. But the TOKA thing is one that's less widely known. And that's the one that has implications that are relevant to these true crime cases. What if there's been a technology that has already, Guts and Black Powder fan, what's up? Welcome. What if there's a system that's been quote unquote tested? Because what do I always say? Who do you think they're testing it on? Right? They're testing it in real time, a lot of these companies. So let's just think of a hypothetical scenario. True crime case, high profile case. If they can in real time manipulate the footage, either while it's live or after the fact, think about, I don't need to spell it out to people what that can mean, what the implications of that are. So we'll talk a little bit about all that stuff tonight, and then we can, as we always do on Sunday nights, transition to open discussions about just about anything, as we typically do on here. Well, I saw E-Potty was talking about hexagon. Wait, what does Green Collective Mama say? Wait, are the Axon cameras in the one that Hollywood uses? Axon is, if I'm correct, it's they make the body cams for police officers, but now they're transitioning into security cameras. But Flock also has drone surveillance technology, and there's a lot of bigger implications about how that stuff is going to be used. Because remember, they tell you it's for one thing, and then once it's accepted, people push back for a while, and then they just accept it, stop thinking about it, and it becomes what? The new normal, which we've seen a lot of that in the last 6 years. Yeah, Guts and Black Powder fan. There's a true crime case I just found. The detective sent an audio request, and the professor responded that the colleagues agree on one thing: it was digitally altered. I mean, this is the kind of thing when we were all looking at all the different video footage with the Idaho 4 case. A lot of us universally agreed this footage seems like it was manipulated, and the audio seemed like it was manipulated. Now think about if a technology gets implemented on a widespread scale that can in real time manipulate footage and alter footage. And you know, this is what I talk about all the time. Well, you know, the interesting thing is they'll tell you to manufacture consent, they'll tell the public it's for your own safety. Maureen, I have seen Palantir commercials. I know the funniest thing I saw was when they had their manifesto, that their you know ridiculous manifesto. I don't know if anybody's seen that. Came out a while ago, but so these are all technologies that are, think about it, they're all interrelated. If you remember what happened with the Snowden case, that system was a massive network that essentially monitored everybody's social media, their cameras. It hacked people's private computers, all that kind of stuff. So that was a really widespread. And how long ago was that? The whole Snowden case. So take that and extrapolate it out to where you think that technology is now. All right, so let's see where we're at in the chat here. Yeah, all these technologies, when the government is partnering with these huge tech bros, they're not doing it for the interest of the public. They're doing it for the interest of the investors and the power brokers who really run things. And Palantir was a CIA funded company before it was a quote unquote private company. It was literally a CIA. It was developing surveillance technology for the CIA. That's how Palantir got started. Just like a lot of Elon Musk's projects are funded, or initially, or at some point in their process, were funded by U.S. intelligence. And he has major contracts with U.S. intelligence and the government. Guts and Black Powder fan. Flock failed at marketing, in my opinion. If they use it to find all the missing dogs and cats, people would have been into it more. Well, this is I've talked about this before, but my prediction is that these true crime cases, the high profile ones, are going to be used to push the surveillance. UVU, where the Charlie Kirk assassination happened, they had cameras all across the roof, across from where Tyler Robinson allegedly was perched when he supposedly took the shot. Yet they don't show any of that footage. They only show blurry potato cam footage from another angle. So I believe that they're going to push. It's going to come. They wait. They're smart. They don't do it all at once. They trickle it out. It's going to be, well, if we had a more robust surveillance camera network in place in the Idaho 4 case and the Charlie Kirk case, in the Nancy Guthrie case, in the Luigi Mangione case, this is what's going to happen. I've predicted it, and I'm very confident it's already started to happen. And never underestimate the lengths that the power structure will go to. Turkey Creek, Alabama, Sock and Palantir, but didn't keep it for very long. Look, think about it. I get it. If you are someone who has investments and you're trying to make money in the stock market, these companies get a big push because of the powerful entities that are behind them, and people take advantage of that and they invest in these companies, and a lot of people make a lot of money, or they get insider information that this is going to break, this is going to be huge, and they invest in these companies and they get rich. So I get it. Yeah, we've talked about the Copenhagen Angel. We've talked about the problem. I can't talk today. Problem, reaction, solution many times on here. And it's just the way the system has always worked. Why would they change it? If it works, you keep using the same methods. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that in many ways the financial markets, they serve a dual purpose. For example, you can obviously invest in it, you make money. Big investors make a lot of money, but it's also a way to normalize these technologies or these companies, because if it's like, oh, people making lots of money off of these companies, it normalizes it with a big chunk of the population. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up a little presentation about the cameras, go through it. We'll just touch on the basic information, and then we can discuss it, and we can transition whatever you guys want to do. So let's get into this right now. So I'll throw this up, and hold on here. Let me just remove Philly. If you can remove the comments from the stage, I'll just run through this. All right, so Flock Safety and TOKA Video Tech, Surveillance, Privacy, and the Fourth Amendment. Comparisons, Connections, and Future Convergence, a deep dive live stream into ALPR networks, LOT, cyber intelligence, shared investors, and the legal battles reshaping public surveillance. Now, whenever you search this stuff online, you're often going to get, I'm just going to take myself off the screen for a bit so we can talk through this. You're going to get some mainstream talking points whenever you search anything. You have to dig a little deeper, and you have to find some of the other independent criticisms away from the mainstream. So what are Flock Safety cameras? Flock Safety deploys solar LTE-powered automated license plate readers, ALPRs, on public roads, neighborhoods, and businesses, building a real-time AI-driven nationwide surveillance network. So basically, we all know what this is by now: automated license plate readers and video cameras. So they're solar powered. You see they have the little solar panel on them. LTE powered. So public roads, neighborhoods, and businesses utilize this stuff. And so they do AI analysis, your plate, your make, your model, your color, your features. But you can be sure that that can be expanded. They have the capacity to expand what they do. So they give real-time alerts. So searchable nationwide databases. So basically, whether you're for or against a nationwide surveillance network. Now, some people will say, well, it's good. It'll keep things safer, right? It'll keep things safer. It'll help solve crimes quicker. Remember, they can always find some benefits to use to sell to the public. But with everything, as it always ends up, look at what is the benefit versus what implications does it have long term. Because remember, they always start small and they build little by little over time, incrementally, to get the public to accept these things. And they never stop. There's never been a time where the power structure has taken some power, taken rights away, and given them back. It's I'm sure somebody could find a few examples over time, but generally speaking, that's not the way it works. All right, so everybody, I think, at this point knows what these things are. So let's go through this real quick and then we can discuss it. Flock Safety, the founders and company background. Founded in 2017 in Atlanta, Georgia. Hold on, where's the, I want to make sure we can read this whole thing here. All right. It was born from frustration with the lack of affordable crime evidence tools. Flock Safety set out to build a scalable ALPR solution accessible to communities of all sizes. How wonderful. Combinator alum, now a multi-product public safety platform. So the founders were Garrett Langley, Matt Fury, and Paige Todd, and his 1,500 employees. And I think, what are they saying, with 300 million original investment, and it's valued at 7.5 to 8.4 billion dollars. All right. Flock Safety scale, investors, and ecosystem. 100,000 plus cameras across 49 states, billions of scans per month. Investor, so A16Z is Andreessen Horowitz. That's the company. And Bedrock Green Oaks Founders Fund. So those are the top investors, with the top being Andreessen Horowitz. Ecosystem, video analytics, gunshot detection, drones, and Flock operating system. So the narratives versus criticisms. The official narrative: Flock promotes crime reduction, higher clearance rates, and affordable public safety with no facial recognition and customer-owned data retention controls. Promos: crime reduction, clearance rates, privacy controls, data owned by customers. Criticisms: mass surveillance risks, police misuse, ICE, CBP data, data sharing, Fourth Amendment debates, right? This is obvious. At what point is a surveillance state acceptable, and how do you justify it? So the Fourth Amendment and mosaic theory, legal debates and privacy implications. ALPR use generally allowed without warrants for public view images. Carpenter versus the United States, mosaic theory established. Prolonged tracking may require warrants under mosaic doctrine. Challenges to dense ALPR networks ongoing in courts. Privacy advocates demand stronger retention and transparency laws. What is TOKA video technology? So this is a really interesting one, because if you really look into what the implications are of this technology, it's an Israeli-based cyber intelligence platform that was established in 2018. And there's a U.S. headquarters in Maryland, co-founded by Ehud Barak and Yaron Rosen, built for elite military, intelligence, and law enforcement clients. So it essentially connects to already existing networks of cameras and existing devices, whether it be phones, computers, vehicles, etc. So flock safety versus TOKA. Hardware surveillance, which would be the flock cameras, versus cyber intel access. Proprietary hardware and cloud platform. License plates, vehicle AI and video. Software access to third-party lot devices. So TOKA basically can hijack cameras and video streaming and can in real time edit and manipulate video. So this is more, in my opinion, official narrative. Clients, local police, HOAs, businesses, clients, the military, intelligence, and homeland security. Wow, what a shocker that is. So let's throw this up for a second here. So here's where it gets interesting. Andreessen Horowitz backs both Flock and TOKA. So this is essentially where the hardware and this software worlds come together to potentially create a wide-reaching surveillance system, which not only surveils but can manipulate footage. Which it's insane to me that we're even having this conversation about this. Oh yeah, this is going to be one of those things they probably do their best to keep the TOKA stuff out of the mainstream media. So we're just going to wrap up. There's just two more slides, and then we'll discuss. We'll do what we do. We'll talk some shit, and we'll discuss. So, surveillance convergence and future outlook. Operational synergy risk, meaning they're going to be having this massive network of surveillance that eventually they'll come up with some other system that integrates all these different surveillance technologies. Chain of custody issues, warrantless tracking expansion, rising LOT density, and regulatory guardrails needed. Now, if you think about this, Flock's public data combined with TOKA's covert device access creates layered surveillance risk, mission creep from local crime to national security, public backlash, and weak oversight demand urgent regulatory action. Which, of course, these are the things that we have to be very careful about because things get abused, just like the Patriot Act did. So, flock safety, scalable ALPR network privacy and legal debates are ongoing. TOKA, elite cyber intel platform for covert LOT video access. So that's like live. They can literally in real time hack and manipulate videos. Shared investigators signal surveillance market convergence. They always want more of whatever is going to make them money. Vigilance needed on legal frameworks, ethics, and the Fourth Amendment. So just think about it. We have to understand that whatever we're hearing about now, there's probably more happening. So we hear about Flock and we're hearing about TOKA now. But what are we not hearing about? What are the other companies that are going to be utilized? And what other companies will be developed with a different name that's not as high profile? Because that's how they do it. They move things around. Oh, flock cameras, people start pushing back. Oh, what are they going to do? They're just going to implement another camera system like Axon, and surely there are others as well. So I'd like to get some feedback. Now I'm done with my little preachy presentation. Um, let's see here. I see some new people. Melissa D, what's up? Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Melissa, I got pulled over and the officer said to me, I know where your car is parked 99% of the time. Creepy stuff. Guys, if you would have told citizens 25 years ago that this is where we would be, that we would literally be living in a surveillance state, people would be like, no, there's no way that can happen. It's an invasion of privacy. What they do, mission creep, like it said in the presentation. It starts out, oh, it's just for this. It's to stop crime, it's to catch perpetrators of crimes, and so on and so forth. But then it creeps and they use it for more and more. And then they expand the networks and they expand the capacity of what these technologies can be used for. All right, my handler, I think it's time to put up a poll. What do you think? My handler, while I'm talking here, my handler is going to think up a poll related to this stuff. We don't have to post it right now. We can let it simmer for a little bit. Well, look, there's already discussions about build these like detainment centers. They could say, oh, it's for illegal immigrants and so on and so forth. Yeah, Copenhagen Angel. I remember, guys, I remember years ago, a long time ago, you heard rumors like, oh, the National Guard is and the military are working on these detainment centers. And it never got any mainstream publicity. So you don't know how accurate is it? Is it bullshit? Were there actually whistleblowers coming out and speaking about that? So you don't really know what to believe. Then later on, you start, you know, the old saying, the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is what, 6 months? And you start hearing about all these things. BLZ, what's up? Anyway, when you see enough of it and you connect the dots and you have good pattern recognition, you see where things are going to go. I predicted a lot of things that were going to happen back in spring of 2020, and people told me I was crazy. Oh, that's crazy. There's no way. They can't do that. That's the problem, though. Some people are very resistant to information that has scary implications. It's just human nature. It's cognitive dissonance. Hey, Foxy. Good to have you. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, let's take the temperature a little. I mean, theoretically, think about it. YouTube videos, let's say we get to a point where they implement more widespread, like TOKA, for example. How do people know their videos, their platforms, that whatever, whether it be YouTube or TikTok or whatever, are not being manipulated? So, for example, I may not know because it might look, when I look at my video, it might be just what I put out there. But maybe in another country, somebody that sees my video is going to see a variation of it. Now, I'm just using this as an example. Let's just say there's corruption going on, an operation like I talk about all the time, and that video gets released to the public. Well, that video could be a manipulated version of what the real video is. So the public is not seeing the actual video. They're seeing a manipulated or doctored version of it. Now, think about it. We're hearing about this technology now. Anything that we're hearing about has been in the works for a while. So if you don't think they're testing that stuff in in real time and in the real world, how else would they test this stuff? Things are like I was talking with Philly about this recently. When I've said this a lot, and I don't know if people remember, but I've always said I may not spell out the reason why I'm covering certain topics. I may not sit and put them all out there and say, this is why I did this, and this is how this connects to that, and so on. But if you look at all my videos, for the most part, there's common threads that run through all of my videos. And the goal is for people to start going, okay, I see how these things all connect. Because you have to come to it on your own. And once you have that aha moment, and then you start to see the patterns and the connections of how it all connects together and what it implies, that's when the light bulbs, in my opinion, really go off. So I posted a video a couple of weeks ago, fifth generation warfare. It's probably one of the most important videos I'll ever do, and it's gotten like the lowest views of any video I've done. And I wouldn't say it's the most important video I'll ever do, but it's one of the most important videos I'll ever do about fifth generation warfare, which is what all of this stuff connects to. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It talks about how information and technology are being used as warfare, and how, because of certain legislation that has passed, they're allowed to propagandize citizens. BLZ, what are you referring to? Oh, you're referring to like the flock and the TOKA? Stick around. We get into a lot of, I will certainly be getting into more of this kind of stuff. So, what I would say is, I recommend you people, if you haven't seen it, go and watch my video on fifth generation warfare. It's not a long video. I think it's like 25 to 30 minutes long. It was a pre-recorded video, and it's the bigger picture. It's the not the biggest picture, but it's a very big picture on how the power structure is operating. Yeah, BLZ. Yeah, this is the flock stuff is getting a lot of attention right now. But again, like I said, pay attention. If you see a municipality say, we have canceled our contract with flock cameras, they're probably going to replace it with something else. And Axon just happens to be one of the other surveillance camera companies. And there are others too, and you can be sure others will pop up. They just move things around. Oh, people don't like flock. All right, so we got a little poll. What's the biggest issue with flock cameras? Here, let me make this bigger so I can read it. Privacy and surveillance concern, put a 1 in the chat. Crime prevention benefits, put a 2 in the chat. Potential misuse of data, put a 3. And lack of public awareness, put a 4. So if you think there is a privacy and surveillance concerns, that's 1. And it's not on the screen now, so I can't see what the other ones are, but here it is. So, all right, so I'm assuming this is what Philly means. So for number 2, if you think there are crime prevention benefits, it's 2. If you think there's potential misuse of data, 3. And if you think a big concern is because of the lack of public awareness. People don't even know what's going on and what it's being used for. I think for me, 1 and 3 are the biggest concerns because you can. Hey, Brandon Rudder, what's up, man? Good to see you. And I see Turn Yourself 85. What's up? Welcome. Maureen says 1 and 3. Green Eclectic Mama says 1. I'm 1 and 3, I think. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of 1 and 3 as well. It's never one. It's never just one choice, right? There's always a combination of things. Chickadee, what's up? Good to see you. We have them where I live. There, there's one right down the street from where I live. Literally, it's like 2 blocks away. And about, I don't know, it was probably like a year and a half ago. My town posted a thing online, a survey about surveillance cameras. Now, this is before everybody was talking about flock cameras. And they were like, oh, we're just taking a public poll. And I commented, I'm like, wow, is the crime really that bad here that you need surveillance cameras? Yeah, I mean, they were going to do it anyway. They just have to make it look like, oh, we're taking the public. They manufacture consent. They take a poll from the public, and they know not everybody's going to respond to it. And they just do it anyway, but it makes it look like, oh, I guess people must have been okay with it. Yeah, it's all a game, guys. It's all a big game. Philly, can you jump up on stage while I go get my rooster off the roof? And I'll be right back. You there?
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll be right back, guys.
Hi, guys. Any questions that I can answer while JJ's getting the rooster? We'll put the link up for you guys to come up shortly. So if anybody wants to come up and chat, feel free. E-Potty, turn your spaceship down if you're coming up. I know JJ's not a true crime person, but is anybody following this Clancy trial in the chat? Oh, hi, crime. Am I saying that right? Crime, Emmett. I don't think I said hello to you. Hello. I think the parasite. Yes. Definitely intentional, Maureen. I think all of those outbreaks, really, if I know JJ and I mentioned it before, all you have to do is read the book Bitten, which is an easy read. You guys could read that book in like 2 days. I think all these outbreaks are intentional. I think anytime we see stuff like that, I think it's a couple things. I think it's a scare tactic, and I also think it's intentional because that's what they do. They manufacture all this kind of quote unquote food that they feed us, that they put in the grocery store. And hey, no talking before coffee. Good to see you. I was wondering where you're at. Just don't eat produce. No, eat potty. We have to eat produce. You just have to be careful where you get your produce from. That's the thing. We've discussed that on this channel before about how a lot of us, myself included, I don't get my meat from the supermarket. I don't get my produce. I get very small things from the supermarket. It's really your starches and stuff. Most of the time, I go to the local farmers market for my produce and fruit. I get my meat from American farmers, but I think as a culture, we've come to a place where we just like easy. And so for you to be able to eat clean or to eat that way, it's a task, right? I can't just go to one place and get everything I need. I have to go, and I can't just, if you go to the farmer's market, you have to go a couple times per week. Yes, Maureen, controlling the food supply and quality, 100%.
What's up, no talkie before coffee? Welcome. What's up, crime rat? Good
Oh,
to
you
see
said it
you.
right. I said it wrong. Hi, crime rat. Easy and convenience, right? I feel like they've really got us to that place, especially our kids. These kids are so, everything's right at their fingertips. Why can't I think every time I'm instant gratification? So, I mean, look, you can DoorDash anything, right? I mean, you really have to go back. We have to go back to time. That's why if you go to Italy or if you go to some of those other countries, they don't have obesity issues. They don't have a lot of the health issues that we have because they cook fresh. Even their wine, their alcohol is fresh. It's made by hand. So all you have to do is mirror though. If you look at those countries and then look at us, you'll see the problem.
For a long time, I was doing the meat delivery, and I'm thinking about going back to it because,
Yep.
you
Oh, it's
know,
great.
yeah, and it's not necessarily cheaper. You just get better quality, and it's delivered right to your house. And
Hmm.
I eat a lot of meat, so it's it made sense to do it. And I'm probably gonna try the one that you use
And I'll
for
share the link, guys. But got some black that brings up. It happened right in Jersey. So Jersey outlawed fresh milk. Milk. What do they call it? It's
raw milk.
raw milk. It was a big controversy here because they outlawed that in Jersey, and I know a lot of people that are adamant about how good raw milk is for you, and they made it a big controversy.
Of course,
Yep,
they
the
don't want
preservatives.
people to be healthy.
Hmm.
The mass now another thing too that I have talked about is if you look at who owns, there's basically two main food companies, Coke and Pepsi. And
Hmm.
all the food companies fall underneath them. And then there are some other big ones, but those are two main ones. And all these big brands that we know about fall under those two. And they own most of the food production. And they're trying to get rid of farmers,
Hmm.
the direct to table type stuff
Hmm.
because this way they can control it. They can control it and it's all based on whatever is the cheapest, which is why Trump did not try to get rid of glyphosate
Oh yeah.
because of the corporations would lose all this money. And so everything in our economy is driven by people say, "Oh, it's corporations." You have to go one step further. It's the banks, the investment banks that own these corporations. Because they're not owned by people anymore. They're owned by shareholders. And the
Hmm.
institutional investors are the ones that have the most control. So it's, everybody has a different way of framing it. Some people will say, oh, it's all about
Who
money.
said that? Hmm.
Some people might say, oh, they want us unhealthy. Well, think about it. What other companies do these same banks also control?
Right. And Greta Collective, that's a perfect example when I said earlier how we have to go back. So there's a place in my area in the beginning of springtime. You can buy, they grow it for you. You can buy certain vegetables that you grow. You just have to go there and pick it and pick up when it's ready. But you can go there and do it all. But like I said, it's work, right? Who has time for that? We're working, we have kids, trying to fit that in is very difficult. But um, that's what you have to do if you want to eat healthy or clean. And just like JJ said, if you go to different countries, for instance, their Mountain Dew is not green, it's clear. They don't do the dyes, they don't do all those preservatives over there that we do
An-
it here.
another like I watched some of this documentary recently that I forget the name of it, but it's on Hulu, I believe, where they talk about the water crisis that's happening. So like for example, a foreign company will buy up all this land. Someone was mentioning Bill Gates
Mm-hmm.
also, but they'll these foreign companies and countries will buy up all this American farmland. And because of the water rights there, they were able to tap into the water table and pump massive amounts of water from the local water supply for either farming or data. Now we're going to start getting into the whole data center where they're utilizing tons of water resources to cool the data centers and all this energy production that's required. Well, this documentary talked about how big businesses now, investment banks and investors are buying into water rights. So they're buying land so they can exploit the water rights. And then they could sell that land to either a data center or a big corporation or whatever. And what it does is it kills the water for the surrounding areas. If there's local farmers, then they don't have enough water pressure, for example, for irrigation and things like that. So they're buying up what one of the things that Whitney Webb talks about is the tokenization of resources. So it's being turned into a financial commodity. So this is once we start talking about the really big picture stuff, you'll see how what we've been told for most of our lives is not actually the way things function. Now they're exposing themselves because over time you start to be more aware of all these different things that are happening and how citizens are being exploited and that the government is not working for citizens, they're working for bankers, which is why they never seem to pass legislation that benefits. What's up, Brandy J? Love and other habits. Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah,
Here, JJ, here's your favorite topic.
I have not because in my opinion, Tanya Perks, they're trying to whitewash the CIA. And so you see all these different shows about the CIA now, and they're trying to make them seem less threatening and less nefarious. That's why you're seeing, I'm sure if we dug deep enough, we could find out who's producing those shows because just like with Hollywood, they have a history of predictive programming, get people to start planting seeds in people's heads. No talkie before coffee. We are fighting the data center that
Mm-hmm.
was partially built here. It's no good. Done very, very secretly too. Ugh, people are banding together, so that's good. Look, but they're bombarding us with everything. They're doing it all at once because they're trying to overwhelm the population. The flock, the security cameras, the data centers, exploiting natural resources, the buying up of farmland. And I've been saying for a long time, the reason, in my opinion, why they're doing this and they're doing it all at once and they're accelerating it all is because they know the public is waking up. Lovely me. You can't hear me very well? Philly, can you hear me?
I can't. I think you're just talking softer because of where you're at.
Oh, okay. I can turn up my mic a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Green Eclectic Mama says, wow, they tried to put a data center near us, but people complain so much. I think it got voted out and they're not doing it, or at least it's been delayed. I hope it doesn't happen. There, there's big money behind these things. And in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be black pilled, but in my opinion, our government don't they don't work for us. They work for the bankers and the corporations by default, but really it's the investment banks. BLZ, I would almost guarantee you that it's bad.
And going back to no talkie before coffee, I think you're in my area, right? I believe you said like Newtown Yardley. If you think about it, I, if you remember that big fight for Wawa, not having Wawas, not having anything like that, we didn't want that in that area. And I don't know, I think that's the area you're in. And you saw that Wawa finally won, and they built that big one on, I'll think of the street, but it's all about money. It's about, it comes down to the money and how much they're going to pay to put it there. Because it's right over there by the knack now, that big Wawa that we didn't want. We fought it for years.
It seems like these initiatives that get foisted on the public are not at all in public interest.
Mm-mm.
When is the last time an initiative got passed that was actually for the benefit of citizens? Is my volume any better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Yeah, it's we're in a situation and we've evolved to this point where it had to eventually just be revealed, sort of like pulling back the curtain, that our elected officials don't work for citizens. They talk like they do, and maybe some of them tried to, but they get ousted if they're actually working on public interest issues. It always ends up deferring to whatever the financial elites want.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen. People ask me all the time, do you think there'll be a revolution? And I'm inclined to think that there will be some kind of revolution. I don't know how that's going to look, but we can't have, like E-Potty just said,
Mm-hmm.
1776. Where does that comment?
Right here.
Birdie's
Oh,
Birdie sent me a video the other day of this guy talking about who actually founded our country. Somebody on YouTube was doing a little thing about it. And I've recommended this book before. It's The Secret Founding of America. If you look at more the big picture story on the American Revolution, it's believed, and there's a lot of evidence to show that it was actually, we were founded by Freemasons who basically wanted the citizens to believe that they were free, but that there were all these loopholes written into the Constitution, because the idea is that people that believe they're free are easier to control than people who know they're not free. And so that's, if you really dig into it, and I think more and more people are starting to learn about this stuff.
mhm.
Yeah, Green Eclectic Mama, I agree. If I'm in that same book, The Secret Founding of America, it talks about who really started the Civil War in America and why. So that's a book I recommend everybody get. And you don't, it's not a book like, I didn't get it to like read it cover to cover. I got it to research different sections, and it's a good reference. So
Hey,
if you
dear, what's
want
it
to,
called again? Just so I can add it to the list on Discord.
It's The Secret Founding of America. I
Okay.
think I included it in my
It might be
original
there. I just want to make sure.
book recommendation list. And it's funny because I have a bunch of books that I want to get to. And then on my trip, two different people bought books for me as gifts. So I'm like, all right, well, I have to read those. They were given to me as gifts. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me with reading in the next few weeks. And I was talking to Philly the other day about this. Like, I used to read constantly, like nonfiction and memoirs and biographies and things. And I got so busy at certain points that I didn't have the time to read. So I started doing audiobooks, so which I could kind of do while I was driving and running around and doing stuff. But I'm trying to get back to researching and reading more. So you gotta fill up the well to stimulate ideas about things to discuss. So, love and other habits. What specifically are you referring to? You mean the big picture, like the fact that we've been living in a illusion? The solution, as I always say, you can't have anything unless awareness spreads. Because it doesn't, if tiny group of people are awakened, they're not going to have enough critical mass to change anything. So awareness has to spread. And people have to disconnect from part of the machine, because the machine is what keeps people investing in these companies. It's what keeps people patronizing these companies that are pushing agendas that are against the interests of the public. And you can't start to change unless you have enough people that are awakened. And I don't think it's an easy process, but I think the more people that awaken, the better our chances at change. There's, I mean, we could really put the tinfoil hat on. I don't know if people want to go there or not, but I don't want to be a total downer, so I'm trying not to go too far off the rails. You know, we can really talk about some of the things that are happening right now. And if we want, I don't know, it's up to you guys if you want to get into that. Some of the things that I believe are happening right now. And that's up to you guys. If we get enough people that want me to drop a theory about something that's happening right now, I will. Otherwise, I won't go there. I mean, awakening is a painful process sometimes because your illusions have to be dissolved. And it's a painful process. And I think that, yeah, people want to hear me explain something that's happening right now, and I will, since you guys seem to be interested in that. As you guys may know, there are a group of quote unquote America First people that are talking as if they're trying to start a third party. And it's some of the people involved are Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Kent, he was he was the head of U.S. counterintelligence who resigned. And there's a couple of others, Thomas Massey, is a few others. My theory, this is my theory. What they are doing is they know that a lot of the public is fed up with this two-party horseshit where it's two wings of the same bird. And they're really always just working for the financial elite. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Crime Rat. Is my voice too soft? I turned up my microphone. Guys, let me know if my mic is still too low. I turn it up a little bit more. Let me know if it's too low or too loud. All right, so my theory is this. What they're doing is, because think this is where you have to stretch your brain and think outside the box. We could all agree that we need more than just a two-party system. And so what I think is happening is they're creating this third party that's supposed to be America first and work for the interests of citizens. But what else does that do? If a lot of people that are, say, independents or libertarians or whatever gravitate towards this third party, what does that do? It keeps people still working within our same political system where they need donors and they, to build enough awareness. It's all about money. So what happens? Special interests will come in and they'll co-opt that movement just like they have done throughout history. And they're trying to keep the public stuck in the matrix. Now, a lot of people, this has nothing to do with like political. I'm not framing it in a political way. Whether you like these people or not, that's not my point. My point is, a lot of people like Tucker Carlson. He's entertaining. A lot of people like him. He appears to oppose the things that are happening. But in my opinion, he's controlled opposition. Some of these other people, they could be sincere or they could be controlled opposition or they could be useful idiots that got co-opted and they're going to do the bidding of the power structure. It's just going to be framed in a different way. So I think this third party is going to be used to keep us stuck in the matrix rather than scrapping it and starting over with a system that's not co-opted by the global elites. To scrap that and start and have a real revolution and start over, this is going to keep people stuck in the system. And you'll hear, if you haven't heard about it, you'll start hearing about this movement. So that's my opinion about what that is all about. Now, I talk to people who like these individuals. No, they're good. They're trying to fight for America and American values and freedom. I don't think so. I think they're going to steer a lot of people who are disenchanted. Yeah, I mean, Green Eclectic Mama, I'm right there with you.
I will say this though. I think Candace was until what happened to Charlie. I think that changed the narrative for her. That's all I'm going to say. I think when that happened to someone close to her, I think that's my opinion. I agree with everything else that JJ said about Tucker and all those other people. But when it comes to Candace, I really feel like the whole Charlie Kirk thing changed her narrative. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a really good point. No talkie before coffee. I agree. He gets away with saying so many things anyone
Mm-hmm.
else would be
Yep.
canceled or publicly shunned.
Amen.
If there's anything at all that I can ever get across by what I'm trying to do is look at everything that you're being presented and question the motives. I mean, this is one of the most important things. If you're given two narratives, it's probably neither one of those. It's probably another. They're just presenting you with these two seemingly opposed narratives. When you're presented with a third party, what does that do? It's just keeping you within the same political system. It's just, oh, it's a different party. Elites have had ultimate power. And one of the things that I'm working on that's going to be coming down the line, the one I mentioned earlier that I'm hoping to have Birdie on for, is the origins of the global power structure. I mean, going all the way back to ancient Egypt and then tracing it forward and seeing the different power factions that joined forces and one co-opted another. And it just goes down the line. And the things that have really been responsible for global power. Right. I agree, Maureen. It's there. Remember, why would the global power elite allow a system to take hold that in which they would lose power? They're not going to allow that. Look at just now again, this is the big question. Well, there's a few big questions. What do you do about it? Can we change it? Sometimes maybe we're just better off just living our lives. I agree. I live my life. I still do my hobbies. I still work. I still try to enjoy my life. But you have to be able to balance the awareness to the bigger ideas with still living your life, still enjoying your life. It's hard sometimes, but you have to strike a balance. Awareness takes time, and revolutions are not always violent revolutions or military revolutions. A lot of times they're intellectual and spiritual revolutions. The third party will be the hemorrhoid of, yeah, exactly. I have friends, people I know back in Colorado. They buy into, all you'd have to do is give them somebody to hate. And whoever, if they're inclined to not like Democrats or not, they're inclined to not like Republicans, just give them somebody who's shitting on the other side and they'll jump all over it. They don't think about, I've tried to explain to them, you're being played, but they don't want to let go of that tribalism. They don't want to let go of it. Yeah, I mean, Project 2025, Agenda 2030 is a big one. Colorado's all in on that, by the way, and many other places, but I see it day to day. And 99% of the people around me are completely oblivious to it. So I just live my life. I've given up trying to wake people up that live out there because they're they're too busy just enjoying their fun Colorado activities to want to look at the big picture. Yeah, E-Potty, oh, sorry about that. We both hit that. Yeah, New York, New Jersey's going through it. Look, when Mamdani, when that started bubbling up in New York, I said, I can't believe people are buying into this bullshit. This guy was in a plant by the global elites, all these globalists, to make young people and people who don't really know what's going on support, oh, it's major change. He's a revolutionary. He's a plant. You don't get into that position without the power structure supporting you. Yeah, get that rooster off the roof. That guy's noisy. Yeah, so what I always try to encourage is don't don't look at narratives. Look at motives. What would be a potential motive for a certain whatever it is? And I don't care what people's political affiliation is. I couldn't care less because in the end, it's us against them. It's not the right versus left. It's not black versus white. It's not, you know, LGBTQ plus people against straight people. It's none of that. Those are all manufactured divisions. It's social engineering to keep the public distracted, to keep the public divided, keep them confused. Those are the reasons why they do it. What's up, Margaret? Good to see you. Yeah, I'll tell you guys what happened with this stream. Yesterday, I was going to schedule the live, and I was supposed to stay stay somewhere else yesterday, and I never made it there. and I had to go straight to meet a bunch of people out near where I grew up. So I didn't have I couldn't do it from my phone, and so I couldn't create the stream in advance and the notification, and I didn't get back until I drove 2 hours yesterday and 2 hours back today. So I've been running all over the place, and I've been a little sidetracked because I've been running all over the place. Yeah, this is yeah, the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab bragged about that. We've penetrated the political cabinets around the world, lead their Young Global Leaders program and whatnot. Yeah, it's lovely me. What's up? It's all connected, and it's an evil agenda for Lucifer. Battle for your soul aligns with energy frequencies. I agree. There's a reason why they won't let you put Jesus as king. Look, I talk about this. I was raised in a religious family. I'm not in practicing organized religion, but I believe in that a spiritual battle has been happening for a long time. I talk about it a lot. You guys have probably heard me talk about it a lot. I believe there's a collective consciousness. You know, Carl Jung talked about a collective unconscious. I believe there's a collective consciousness. And the more people that can rise to that and connect to that with ideas, with the way that you present yourself, you having awakenings, whether they be intellectual awakenings or spiritual, it spreads. I really believe that. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it a lot. I never used to think that when I would hear that, but I believe it now. Because why? This is why I believe this. Because what happens when you're spiritually suppressed, when there's nothing but horseshit happening in the world, and everything is a distraction and it's meant to make you angry and outraged? What does that do? It lowers your spiritual energy. You're vibrating at a lower frequency. So this is kind of how I frame it. Lovely me, I am not religious either, but I fully believe in Jesus, God, the devil, heaven, hell, angels, demons, light, dark, good, evil, yin, yang. And Maureen says the tipping point. Right, that's what I talk about that a lot, the tipping point. Awakenings cause tipping points. And this is my theory. Tipping points, in my opinion, is where the awakening reaches a certain level and it hits a tipping point, and I believe they spread quicker once they reach that tipping point. You know, Green Eclectic Mama, like my belief systems have evolved a lot over time. And I think it's largely because I spent years just reading a lot of different information and consuming information from a lot of different sources. And I take that information and I internalize it, and then I sort out what I believe is most logical. Kiss me where I pee. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Look, a lot of people think I'm nuts, and you have to be okay with that. Once you feel strong in your beliefs, you have to stand behind them. And I don't push my beliefs on others around me. That's why I wanted to start this platform, is to share my ideas and to try to get a community of people to exchange ideas. It doesn't bother me if people disagree with me. That's fine. People believe whatever they want to believe. If you've done your research and you're confident in your beliefs, then that's that's the way it is. I mean, there's nothing, people have to come to these conclusions and have their own awakenings in their own time. Some people it takes years. Some people never get awakened. I never even told him half of the things I really believe in either. I could just imagine what he would have said if I told him those. I'm pretty open about my beliefs if people are open to discussion. I just calmly tell them my take on it. Some people are very passionate about things, and if I think that they're very misguided, I'm not going to try to correct them. People have to come around in their own time. Green Eclectic Mom. I have one person in my family that is woke. My brother, he actually tried to tell me stuff before I finally realized the truth. So when you say woke, I want you to clarify that, because there's a social connotation of it, a cultural connotation, and then there's the idea of awakening. So you have to make that distinction, because in my opinion, we all know how that terminology has been used. Epadi, awake. Well, that's what it means to me. Lovely me, I agree 100%. All you can do is plant a seed in their mind and leave it.
Well, there's a difference. There's awake and there's woke. So woke is like the liberal meaning of they're, you know, they don't believe what we believe. And awake is awake. You see things for what they are.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. I don't look
Right.
at the culture. I don't say, when I say awaken, I'm not referring to the cultural reference. I'm
Right.
referring to literally being awakened to, like the Matrix, taking the red pill
Right.
and being awakened to reality.
That's why I was confused with her comment. Is he woke, meaning like he doesn't see it, or is he awake and he does see it?
Yeah, yeah, green
Yeah.
eclectic mama. That's what I thought you meant. I just wanted to clarify that because some people might misinterpret that. Lovely me says, I'm awoken. You can, I change shit all the time for my own ways, I change.
God, he's awake. Thank you. I'm sorry you're exhausted. Just get some rest.
Guys, I had a night last night, let me tell you. I went out to meet a bunch of friends, and I
Yes,
had
tell us the story. JJ has the best stories. Is it a good one?
it's all right. It's always an interesting one. I go down to meet friends down by the Jersey Shore, and I was supposed to stay down there. I had a house to stay and everything. And I went and I met them at this place, a bunch of people. Because I only come home once a year, so a bunch of people get together and we meet out. And one of my friends, her daughter is an amazing singer. She's young, she's only 18. She's been performing for years. Was playing at a club in the area, like a hip new club type place, pretty cool place that we usually meet up down there anyway. So we all went to her show. I pull up, and this is like a hip area. I'm talking about Asbury Park. It's like a busy, bustling area on a Saturday. So parking sucks. So I'm driving around trying to find a parking spot. And I'm right across from the place and I can't find a spot. And I'm literally at a stoplight and like the best spot you could possibly get, they pull out and I end up getting that spot. But it's there's a sign right there. It says you pay with this parking app. So I go on and I'm trying to download this parking app and I download it and I'm putting in my information so I could pay for parking. I'm standing off to the side. It won't load on my phone. I tried like 20 times. Literally, as I'm standing there loading the app on my phone and it's not working, it's not taking my payment. A parking enforcement guy is parked behind me filling out a ticket because I hadn't, they have it all on a computer on which what cars are already paid and stuff, surveillance. And so he's literally writing me a ticket. I'm like, oh no, dude, look here, look, my phone. I've been trying to pay and it's not loading. And I thought, oh shit, this guy's gonna give me a ticket. But he ended up helping me out, and he went and he fixed it and he processed the thing. And so I go to this place, and there's tons of people there that I went to high school with that I haven't seen in years, and I end up, have like I wasn't drinking a lot because I had to drive, and after the show my friends all go to this place down the road that's like it's like a hipster kind of bar that makes like espresso liquor drinks. So it's all like different drinks with like espresso and stuff in it. So me at like 12:30 in a.m. last night, I have an espresso and I was so wired that I couldn't get to sleep. So I was up very late and I had to drive an hour and 45 minutes back today. Didn't get half done that I wanted to get done. So I was dragging a little bit today. Don't have espresso at 12:30 a.m. I don't recommend it. See, people are still having trouble hearing me, and I have my mic turned up a decent amount. I just turned it up a little bit more. Let me know, guys, if you're still having trouble hearing me. Philly, am I better now? My volume?
You sound fine to me.
Okay. All right. Sorry for that little diversion there. Yeah, that wasn't one of my crazy stories. I don't want to scare anybody. I'm gotta be careful with what I talk about. Oh, no talking before coffee. It's talking about Wildwood? Philly, that's your
Yeah.
spot, isn't it?
No, not anymore. We were just talking about that. We're talking about the. I said I used to love Wildwood. I used to love taking my kids there. I can't really go there anymore because it's nonsense. And then she brought up Irish Fest, which I love. That's kind of different. It's the boardwalk that's the issue anymore.
Yeah, I didn't even make it to the beach. E-Potty, it'll be next summer. If you guys are still with me next summer, we can have a little
We'll rent a house, guys.
state of the deep get together. Yeah,
Bring your guitar, JJ.
Cape May is nice. And I ended up getting up and singing a song last night. My friend whose daughter was performing, he's like, you have to get up and sing. I'm like, your daughter doesn't want me to get up and sing at her gig. She's like, no, 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 she won't care. She won't care. But whatever. Love and other habits. I don't know what you're referring to. Okay, my daughter's going to be 21, so boardwalk days are done. Oh, yeah. What did I sing? You're talking about the.
Mm-hmm.
I play music on the weekends. Love and other habits, and I don't know if you ever heard me talk about it. Just do it as a side job. I sang the song by the Lumineers, Ho Hey. That song, you guys know that one? Do you guys know that song? Philly, you know that song, right?
Yes, I know that song.
The crowd was into it. They liked that song. I knew they would. People love that song. Um, what? Somebody just asked me. What? Hold on. Oh, someone asked me my thoughts about the Idaho 4. Um, not much has changed, in my opinion, about the Idaho 4 case. I still think that there's a cover up involved because there was a larger operation and that it would have been devastating to the school and the local economy and for backlash for both the school and law enforcement if that information got out to the public. Like, for example, that there might have been students involved with some bigger things, operation type things. Where's the video? I don't know.
Of you singing.
Oh, I don't know if there's a video. I hope not. It's hard for me to get up and just sing one song. I need a few songs to warm up. Like you play a gig, you're playing for 3 hours. You first few songs, you warm up. You know, you could do some mellower songs, get your voice warmed up. I'm not great at jumping up and I need like three songs to warm up. It wasn't terrible though. It was all right. Yeah, so the Idaho 4 thing. I think Brian Koberger was working with the funding that was happening in that area, the federal funding, beforehand. And so I think he was already tied to things happening in that area and that he was used, as I've said many times, as an operative because they needed to present someone to the public. A white hat operation. I think I know what you mean. And maybe anything's possible, but I tend to think that it's probably a nefarious thing that they don't want the public to know about. And they're going to use it to forward the surveillance agenda. Now, whether that was already in place and they're just taking advantage of a crisis, never let a good crisis go to waste, or if there was something even more nefarious that happened, which we'll never get the truth on. That's why I've been very strong in my belief that digging into now remember, I'm not a regular true crime creator. So just simply digging into the FOIA information and the surveillance footage and the interviews, in my opinion, it can give you information to look at. But they're never going to come out and say, all right, guys, you got us. There was a major operation going on and we presented you with a patsy. That's never going to happen. We still don't know the truth about the JFK assassination. So we're not going to know if it was a larger operation. They're never going to expose that because it's blanketed under national security. Kiss Me Where I Pee. I do not do any Mumford and Sons. I like some of their stuff. But I don't. I play some similar kind of stuff. Groups that are bands that are similar to that, like the Avett Brothers and stuff like that. Yeah, deep state wise, Chanel, I know what you're saying. I don't know. It's hard to know the level of sophistication involved, but there's a lot of coordination, in my opinion, in the Idaho 4 case. That's why, look, people can, there's the bigger content creators that have been digging into stuff and they do a great job of it. But for me, I can't look at anything. I'll give you an example, guys. There's a lot of people, they're digging into all this stuff and they're what they're doing is implying that they believe Brian is not guilty, which is fine. But they dig into all this stuff. They never really tell you, this is what I think happened. This
But
is
JJ,
why.
is she asking about Idaho 4, or is she asking about all the stuff that's going on with the government?
Well, oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
see what I'm saying?
I get you. Okay, Chanel, were you referring to the big picture or Idaho 4? I apologize because I was talking about the Idaho 4. Yeah, Kiss Me Where I Pee, I think that he was somehow connected to the feds. Um, Now, it's general. I get what you're saying. In that case, no, I do not think there's a white hat operation going on. I think that people get co-opted by nefarious agendas, even well-meaning people. That's the whole idea of a useful idiot. And if you study how the communism spread in Russia, they used people. They co-opted people to work on behalf of the bigger nefarious agenda. So there may be people that have good intentions and think they're doing the right thing, or there may be people that they sold out. All right, let's see. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Monsters and Men? Kiss Me Where I Pee? Could you explain? Look, Green Eyed Eclectic Mama, I think that anybody can come up with a theory and spin something to make it really sexy and interesting and compelling. And so, to what degree are we hearing people that are operating in good faith presenting these theories, or people that are just trying to distract the public, or trying to get clicks, or just trying to create these alternative narratives about things or alternate theories about things? Oh, okay, yeah. This is Love and Other Habits. Yeah, that's what I was referring to, which the I that was there was a lot of stuff going on in that area connected to research grants. So federal funding, there was quite a bit of it that had been happening in that area. Oh, that was the other band, she said. Okay, I gotcha. I'm looking at the comments and like I'm not seeing everything all in order. I look, oh man, what is this? With everyone phone in hand, the layers of gaslighting, and so much traffic in and out of that house. Yeah, Tiger Eye, what's up? I agree. There was something about that house, in my opinion, the house itself, that was organized, in my opinion. And somebody else just said something connected to the Aryan Nights. Yeah, this right here. Kiss Me Where I Pee. Deep down, I think it has a lot tied to the Aryan Nights. It's very possible. And would you want parents of students to know that there were like organized gangs operating in the area where you're either going to send your kids to school or where they're already going to school? No, that school would be tanked. People would be pulling their kids out of there and parents would not be sending their kids there. So that is generally speaking what I believe the most likely theory is. Something happened, there were CI related things happening, trafficking related things happening, and that house was somehow connected to an operation beforehand. And they would never want that to get out to the public. And so they needed to have someone to be the fall guy. And I'm not talking about framing somebody. I just don't think there'd be that level of coordination.
I do
For
want to say something real quick back to channel in regards to the white hats. I think we are the white hats. I think the more people wake up, the more we call attention to it. That's where your white hats are. If you're asking if there's white hats deep in the government, I'm with JJ. I think people start out that way and then I think they get compromised. And that repeats itself.
Look,
They either get compromised or taken out.
yeah, green eclectic mama. Look what happened in the Charlie Kirk case. They paved over the crime scene. They didn't control the crime scene after it happened. Why would they do that? Because what do? You wipe out something like it never happened, pave over it, never secure the crime scene. The house, the 1122 King Road was locked down for hours and people were not allowed in. So what was going on? Why did they do that? Why did they lock the house down and not let people in, not let the coroner in until later in the day? That does, to me, that screams coordination. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of info about LBJ and but there is many layers. There are many layers to these major high profile events. And it's like peeling away an onion. There's a lot of layers and it's very complex and it's very difficult to zero in. And that could be by design. Just like with what we're talking about with the Idaho 4 case, we're being bombarded with all this information and it's trickling out over time. A lot of times what happens, you get so far down the road and so much different information has come out and conflicting information from quote unquote experts. It's in many cases it's just a distraction. They distract you to it's called flooding the zone. You flood the zone with tons of information. It keeps everybody looking into it and arguing over it and distracted by it. It's a standard tactic.
This is a good one
Oh, sorry
because
about that.
oh,
Put that back up.
JJ, this is a good one because this is what they do. And I'm sorry that happened to you. Kiss me where I pay. That happened a lot to me during COVID. Hate to say that wasn't your friend, but that's what they do. They try to divide. And instead of being able to talk about it and recognize we have different views, this is what happens, unfortunately.
All right, so green eclectic mama, we're going to have to go to battle. If you're talking about if you don't think parents would be pulling their kids out of school if they found out there was an Aryan Nights hit carried out on students, if that got out to the public, I would have to strongly disagree with you. And on top of that, even if it was something, let's just hypothesize, something like a fentanyl overdose. We're just talking hypothetically. If parents found out that college kids, where their kids went to school, OD'd on fentanyl laced drugs, in my opinion, they would be thinking, there's fentanyl laced drugs floating around in that area. I don't want my kids potentially exposed to that. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what you were. Okay. All right. I gotcha. I didn't know if you were saying they wouldn't be doing that because can you imagine? It's like you want to believe your kids are at school. They're going to be kids. They're going to party. They're going to do the thing. But you want to believe that they're at least safe from organized crime. And on top of that, think about the implications, long-term implications, right? That's something like it takes years to recover from. If that ever got out, then the school, it wouldn't just be a 1 year thing where parents wouldn't do that. And there's big money connected to universities. I talk about it all the time. Yeah, Brandon, I agree. And Brandon, you had another comment. Here you go. I wanted to throw this up before. I heard about that as well early on. I mean, all these houses have cameras and this house where people share, it's a big house with multiple people living there, they would likely have cameras. It just doesn't even make sense. There's, all I know is we have not been told the truth about this case. And all these so-called experts, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. They seem coordinated to me. What's up, Angel Heart? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to it. And this is partially how I sort of got myself in a little bit of trouble in the past, because there it's good to analyze information. I would never dissuade anybody from doing that. I listened to the Custody Queens Off the Clock with Ron. I listened to Birdie. I listened to Lana. I listened to other channels because I try to keep aware of information as it comes out. But to me, everything that comes out, you have to be able to understand, is it really relevant to the big picture? Because if it's not going to lead you to the bigger picture thing, in my opinion, you have to pull different threads. Because if you have mass coordination happening from a high level, you're not going to be getting information that may be relevant to finding out the truth. You might be just getting information that's compelling, but it may not be relevant. I don't know if that makes sense, but all right, lovely me. We're going to go to war on this one. I don't think that's the case, and I'll tell you why. What people say and how they are presented to the public, in my opinion, is very calculated. Remember, when you're talking about the power elites and the intelligence agencies, they are the most sophisticated at psychological operations, far more than I could grasp. I can identify when I think I see a psyop, but they're going to be ahead of us because they know what we're all talking about. They're monitoring everything. I think that, in my opinion, I'm going to have to put the tinfoil hat on, that there's no opposing sides in the government. That is part of the psyop, to make people believe that there are two sides. One stands for these things, one stands for these other things, and they're fighting each other vehemently. I don't believe that. I believe the elites protect each other. And if you're working in service of the elites, you're working for their agenda, but you have narratives. You're playing a role. This is my script. This is my narrative. These are my talking points. So I don't believe any of them stand for what they appear to stand for. And when I saw it, once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. It became crystal clear to me. What do you think about that, Philly?
I agree, but I was just asking, what's with you and wanting to start war tonight, JJ? Did you sneak an espresso when we weren't looking?
Look, I have to be honest. I can't, if I have strong feelings about something, I have to speak my mind.
No, I agree with you. There are some
Sometimes,
good comments here. I'm trying to pull them
Canny
up.
Mag, what's up?
Um,
No, Brandon, I'm with you. I used to say, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? If, but then you see more and you see how things play out and you start to go, no, they're not going to do what they say they're going to, they're been boasting about for years. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They never do it. Who did I see? Someone else popped in. Canny Mag. Where are you? Good to see you. Look, the way that I frame it when it comes to politics, Good to see you, Kenny Mag. I believe in, even if people say something and it's, they may have strong feelings about it. If I feel like I strongly believe in something that, and I may disagree with them, even if it's only a little bit, it's my nature to say it because I want people to know where I stand. And I try to do that. And I don't say things to try to offend people or to be controversial, but I believe in speaking the truth and what you believe. Man, there's some funny comments in here. I'm missing a lot of them. Angel Heart, I'm not even monetized yet.
Wait, I like this one by Lovely May. Because I'm with you a little bit, Lovely May, and I think maybe sometimes I question myself, right? Maybe that's us wanting to believe that there's actually a good guy out there that's gonna do the right thing. I think that's human nature for us to want to believe that, but I don't know. I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier to Channel's great point is we're the white hats. I think no one's gonna do it for us. We're just going to have to keep pushing back and doing things like this, just like you guys did with the Idaho Forum with Birdie. I really think if you guys made your voices loud enough, maybe that'll make a difference. That's just my opinion, JJ. You can.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that what we need to do is not look to others to fix the problems because there's a lot of special interests and there's a lot of big money and big power that co-opt government and always has. And that's why when I do hope, I have to confirm it with Birdie, it's going to be a little bit down the road when we do the big, we're going to do an episode. If Birdie can do it, great, but I'm going to do the episode either way. I'd love to have Birdie on for it because he and I think alike. Yeah, yeah, we need more whistleblowers, and but we can't rely on some figurehead that they're gonna. Don't worry, I'm gonna take care of this and I'm gonna fix it. When you have the amount of money and influence and power swaying the direction of legislation, who gets elected, what policies get passed to benefit these big corporations. When's the last time anything has been passed that actually benefits the public? Every big major piece of legislation has been to benefit the financial elite. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This this is the only thing that's political that I'll say. Trump did not do a lot of the big things he promised to do. And I'm not surprised. I told friends of mine that were huge Trump supporters, I said, I'm telling you, he's not going to do all the things you think he's going to do. And they're like, no, no, he's going to do it. They all follow that same pattern, man. The rhetoric changes. They give you somebody to root for, but they're not working for us. Yeah, Epati keeps posting this, and I agree with him. Look, man, the intellectual revolution and the awakening has to happen first. Man, I saw some really good comments in here. I don't know what this is. Aquarius rising Africa, Tiger Eye. Fill me in. Yeah, Epati, I agree. And Angel Heart, I don't know if you have a channel. You had mentioned something. You feel free to post your channel in the chat. Look, what I believe in is not, well, what most people do. Yeah, I agree, Brandon. They get their script, they get their marching orders. And the more you learn about the power structure, it's crystal clear. Mert, what's up? Good to see you. Right, exactly. The other quote unquote side will never let the other accomplish anything. It's designed that way. Um, well, that's a whole rabbit hole right there. Kiss me where I pee. Does anybody know exactly what the FBI is? I know what the CIA actually is, and it's not what we've been told. All right, I'm going to throw another little conspiracy theory at you guys. I just talked about this the other night with some old friends. Think about the economy, right? Just imagine it. This little square represents all the different aspects of the economy. So you have over here, I'm just going to give examples. Gas prices. And all the way on the other end, you might have tax related stuff, or you might have food prices, or you might have some other aspects that affect our day-to-day life as far as living expenses, things like that, housing costs, etc. They find the really big hot button issues, right? Like the price of gas, and then we all know what they are, the hot button issues that they all use when they're running for office, and all the politicians throw back and forth. So what they do is they find a few of the high profile ones and they make a change. But what do? They quietly, so over here, they go to the right here and they double the price of food, or they increase the living expenses in another way. But the one that's really high profile, oh, they lower the price of gas. But they make it up. It's all connected by the banks. So it doesn't matter. There's no separate entities. So they make that money back in another way. And it's just a shell game. They're moving things around, making us believe that they're doing something to benefit us. Yeah, I agree, Canny Mag. That's my mantra. I used to drive people crazy on Devil's Advocates when I would be talking about zooming out in the big picture. But I've got, like I said, I'm gonna go a little bit longer. I'll definitely go longer if you guys want to. But Lucy Morningstar, good to see you. I'm slacking on the chat, trying to catch up with some comments, but some good things happening. Like my handler was saying earlier, I'm gonna be doing a live stream in the near future with Big Amish Media. Um, I'm probably not going to be on Birdie next week because I don't know if he's doing a live stream, but I'll continue to do. I think I'm probably going to continue to do Wednesdays with Birdie. And I'm going to have the Custody Queens off the clock with Ron on this channel on August 28th. It's going to be 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to focus on their overall theories now that they've seen all this information, they've done all these interviews. So I'm going to focus on them. I'm going to try to extract as much information from them to give their big picture ideas about what they think is going on and what they've seen and how the interviews they have done have changed their opinions about the case. And you know, like I always say, JJ, was it a bear? Are you asking me about the birdie stream? In my opinion, that was definitely a bear. If you're referring to the that footage on Paradise, that camera from 4:13 a.m., it was definitely at least one bear. I think probably two. Yeah, Kiss Me Where I Pee. I'm not on the Devil's Advocates channel anymore, so I haven't been on there. Um, let's see. Some people saw a person. I've seen a lot of bears, and I'm almost 100% sure it was a bear. It was probably two bears, in my opinion, because I've seen tons of bears at night walking, and yeah, it was a $90. It was $45 a bear, E-Potty. But look, we all interpret things differently. So I could be totally wrong, but I'm just going based on what my instincts told me after having seen countless bears. There's a lot of bears where I live, so I've seen a lot of them over the years. But as far as devil's advocates, those guys, I was on there for a while, and I give them a lot of credit. A lot of you guys wouldn't even know who the hell I am if I wasn't on the Devil's Advocates channel. And I give a lot of credit to them and Birdie and the Custody Queens Off the Clock with Ron, because they've had me on their channels. And as I always say, I'm not really a true crime creator in the sense that I don't frame things typically by just gathering information, and I have to look at that information and then zoom out. And that's the way I think. That's just how I am. All right, let's see. I'm just looking at the chat and to see. Yeah, I agree, E-Potty. It was a Rorschach test. And fortunately, it wasn't driving a white Elantra, because we'd really be fighting over it. An Angel Heart, one of these shows, you're welcome to jump on stage and join the discussion. What I'll do going forward is maybe one Saturday we'll do like a call-in type show, and people can plan to come up, and I'll have a topic. We can take a poll. We'll pick a topic in advance for the call-in. What do you see what my handler thinks about that? And then, yeah, subscribe to Angel Heart's channel, and then we can get some people to talk about that. Well, thank you, Kiss Me Where I Pee. That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that. Look, the way that I think is not for everybody, because I drive some people crazy, because I question everything and I pick things apart, and sometimes that annoys people that want to focus on a certain thing. And the way my brain works, I have to connect it to other things. But that's, a lot of people saw me originally on Devil's Advocates, and then Birdie had me on before I was on there more regularly. And I give a lot of credit to those guys. DA, Robin, One, Dago, they were all, we'd have a big discussions. No, I didn't. Canny Mag, did you see the interview on Roseanne with Kathy Bryan? Remember, we talked about MK Ultra on Devil's Advocates. Oh, I used to talk about MK Ultra before I was even on the Devil's Advocates, and I did the Deep Devils little separate show with DA. We did an episode on MK Ultra. And some people believe that it never went away, and I don't think it did. Let's see. I didn't see that though. Interview on, I didn't see that. Look, I like Roseanne because she speaks her mind and she's not afraid to speak her mind. And I appreciate people like that. Okay, Kathy O'Brien, I gotcha, you potty. Is that what they were referring to? Okay, yeah, that's the one. All right, so Kathy O'Brien. I watch a lot of content, different types of content. And so a lot of times people say, "Hey, did you see that interview with so and so?" And I don't always get to them right away because there's so much content out there. I'm trying to transition to reading more and watching less content. I still try to keep up on the Idaho 4 case because I want to at least be in the loop as to what's going on because Birdie and I talk about it. Angel Heart, I don't know if I've watched Sean Atwood. I've seen a lot of stuff on MK Ultra and I've read several books that connect to MK Ultra. Chaos being the one that I highly recommend to people, but there are others as well. I started rereading the book 1984. And that's what I was reading. And then I just saw two friends this weekend that each gave me a book as a gift. So I have a lot of reading to do. If you guys have not read 1984, I highly, highly recommend it. George Orwell, 1984. Great book and very relevant today. All right, so I think I'm going to go for like another 15 minutes and then wrap it up. So if you guys have anything else that you want to chat about, just post it in the chat. And please, please like and subscribe. And make sure your notifications are on because a lot of people tell me they didn't get a notification. And please join the Discord. People have been sharing good information on the Discord. And some of that information that people have shared, I'm working on for future episodes. So please do that. Yeah, Brave New World is another
If
really
any
good
of you
one.
guys are interested in helping with research, graphics, videos, anything like that, please let JJ or I know. There's a lot of information and we could use the help.
Yeah, it's hard to juggle everything and try to do research and come up with the type of topics I want to discuss because there is somebody sent some I think it was Karen Bell sent some really good information on the Discord and it's stuff that she sent me information that was basically about fifth generation warfare and I that was one of the episodes I was planning to do and that's the episode that I'm telling you all to if you haven't watched it please watch it because it's one of the most important short episodes that you could watch. It's not a long video and it's really important to what I talk about.
Yes,
So
Karen Bell, she shares some great, great information, guys. You should check
and
it out on Discord.
I checked out a lot of I went through the
Mm-hmm.
documents she sent me. And then I did an episode about fifth generation warfare, which was one of the documents she sent me was about that, which was one of the things that what was it called? Deadly Weapons, Silent Wars, or something like that. It was basically about fifth generation warfare. So that was one of the topics I was interested in. But there's a lot of great books that we all know of, but you may have read them when you were young, or you have a general idea what they were about. But it's good to look at these things because they're really relevant now, like 1984 is extremely relevant. So is Animal Farm, which I did a video about. I still, if you haven't seen it, watch the video I did on the Great Reset, because people stopped talking about the Great Reset. It was talked about for a while. Now it's not. All the things that we're seeing are to the letter of what the Great Reset agenda proposed. And they're all playing out. They always tell you what they're going to do. You just have to pay attention. Um, okay. Yeah, I'm not specifically familiar with Sean Atwood and his discussions about MK Ultra. And remember, whenever you're looking at information, remember, if you haven't, I talked about limited hangouts. Just remember, a lot of times people will talk about things and they're giving you a piece of it, but they're not giving you the whole story. That's a form of controlled opposition. They they steer you into this way of thinking, but they leave important things out, or they steer you away from other important things that you should be aware of. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for him, for Sean Atwood. I'll check out his stuff. Green Eclectic Mama. This, oh, sorry, my bad. Clones. Ah, oh, man, I don't know. That's one that I don't give a lot of credence to. Um, yeah, I don't know. I haven't dug into it enough to really have a strong opinion about it. Um, I know what you're referring to, though. I consume so much content in the last 6 years, so I've been exposed to a lot of these different theories and fringe ideas and alternate theories. And Epati, why am I not surprised that you believe that that is real? Epati and I went to battle on this right here, guys. Oh, sorry, he's put Eric Schmidt. Is that the Google Eric Schmidt, the Google guy? Wait, where is that? Someone just posted it. Okay, here. All right. Me and Epati are gonna have to go to war. I think, based on what I have read about the CIA, that as it is being put out there, the way they are framing aliens, it's a psyop. Now, do I believe that there could be a multiverse type of thing happening and it's interdimensional and these types of things? It could be, but the way that it's being presented to us, I think it's a psyop. I don't know. This is one that's a hotly debated topic, but I'm going based on the fact that they've used that narrative strategically since probably the 40s. Jody, what's up? Thanks for popping in. Look, I am with you. I believe in freedom, and I think what we need to do is we all need to spread the awareness that we're not living the life that we're told that we're supposed to live, and we don't have the freedoms that we've always been told that we have. And that elected officials are not advocating for things that benefit citizens. They're advocating for things that benefit the financial elite. And it's been going on a lot, and it's very obvious. So I think that you have to look at that and realize that we've been lied to about a lot of things. Brandon Rudder says, to his credit, Atwood had a virologist on right when COVID cases first appeared, who was talking about it being man-made, and it got scrubbed like next day. Of course it did. So I probably did see his videos back then. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of an illusion of freedom, and it's scary to think of that. But revolutions happen, and I think you need a revolution of hearts and minds before you can have any real change. We need to remember that a divided population is easier to control. So I tend to agree that we've been living in this matrix, this illusion, but everything that we've been experiencing points in another direction. Yeah, they tend to scrub a lot of things. Well, look, guys, I think I'm going to start wrapping it up because it's getting late here and I'm staying at somebody else's house and I don't want to keep them up. But this week, I'm going to try to do at least one pre-recorded video, and then next weekend, planning to do a live Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll make sure to schedule it in advance. So make sure your notifications are on. Like and subscribe. Join the Discord. And we'll keep it going. Lenny Briscoe, what's up? Well, I'm glad you appreciate the content. Thank you to everybody. I really appreciate you guys popping in. And keep being a part of it, because as I grow my channel, there's going to be bigger topics. I'm going to have more guests on. Like I said, I'm planning to do a live with Big Amish Media, and the Custody Queens Off the Clock is for the 28th at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm planning to plan something with Birdie in the future. Thanks, E-Potty. And, more things to come. As I build and I grow, there'll be more opportunities to have guests on. And in the near future, you guys can, on the Discord or on the community tab of the YouTube page, give some recommendations for topics for a call-in show. And we'll find a topic and we'll do a call-in show maybe next Saturday. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon on the next video. Have a great night, everybody.